Hey everyone, welcome to Car Review. Today we're doing a no spoilers review of the new movie Joker, so let's get into it. So, Joker. Believe the hype when it comes to this movie. We have been hearing for months that this new movie, directed by Todd Phillips, would be a game changer for comic book movies, that it could potentially be a Oscar vehicle for Best Picture, Best Director, and certainly Best Actor. And we've also heard that this movie will be incredibly different from anything else we've seen in the comic book movie landscape. And while that last statement is certainly true, I will explain why it is both different for the good and for the bad. Joker is a comic book movie. It is. But it is loosely a comic book movie. While the movie does have tie-ins to the larger DC universe, you could easily remove them and you would have a movie on your hands that would be a character piece that revolves around the rise and fall of someone whom is mentally ill. And while that might alienate some comic book film fans who wanted something a little more kooky and different, but still have that comic book charm, I think that this movie utilized its difference in such a stupendous way. This is so refreshing in a really eerie sense. In a world where we get movies like The Dark Knight and Logan and Deadpool, while it is a comic book movie, Deadpool is different, but where we get the occasional off-the-cuff comic book movie next to your Aquamans and Avenger movies, this takes that a step further and this pushes the envelope. This is a drama first and foremost, and while it does revolve around the DC characters of the Joker and the Waynes and such who are in this movie, you could easily say that this is a drama who just happens to have tie-ins to, like I said, the larger DC universe. And I think that's okay, because this movie is serious, it is important, it is a game changer, and there is so much to unpack in here. First of all, I'm going to get out the elephant in the room. Joaquin Phoenix will be nominated for an Oscar, period. The role he played as Arthur Fleck, also known as the Joker, stupendous. Some of the best acting we've seen this entire year, if not the last decade. The physical and mental transformations that he went through to dedicate himself to this role are apparent and are real, and they are throughout the entire movie. If he does not get nominated, it'll be a huge blemish on the film industry. But while everyone's focusing on that, something I also want to focus on is the music. The score in this movie is breathtaking, absolutely phenomenal. And while this is a standardized movie in the sense that it follows, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 with dialogue and stuff, all that dialogue could easily be fit onto 10 pages of a script. Meaning that while the dialogue is used to, further along the plot, other things are used as well. Most notably being the music. The music gives you a great sense of what the characters are doing, what they're about to do, how they're feeling, where they are, and the dialogue is just a little cherry on top, or a little sprinkle on top that says, okay, here's what's going to happen. But the sets and the costumes and the cinematography, and again, the music, everything mushes together into this great piece of clay that is sculpted into this amazing movie. It all comes together. And while the performances are phenomenal, you have to highlight everything else, because this is a very bold and different and downright maybe even dangerous movie. Not dangerous in the sense that it could, spark violence or lead to, horrible events, and I'll comment on that a little bit at the end. But it's dangerous in the sense that it is a huge risk for anybody who wants to make this movie, because if you get attached to a comic movie nowadays, that's pretty much a golden ticket. You're going to get notoriety, fame, a lot of money. But with Joker, while that will certainly happen, it happens for different reasons, because this movie is very personal, it is very honest, and it is not afraid to get into your face about what's wrong with our society, what's wrong with how we treat the mentally ill, how we treat the rich, how we treat the news. It is not afraid to push that into your face, and this will honestly be kind of a turnoff for some film fans, not even just comic book fans. I love the movie. I walked out of it thinking it was a masterpiece, but I also walked out of it feeling very sad, very disturbed. And I kind of felt like I was looking back into a mirror, like, oh, how do I operate in my life? Stuff like that, which could easily make people not want to see this a second or a third time. I was so incredibly hyped with this movie that I was going to see it 2 times in a weekend, and I was easily going to see this movie 3 or 4 times in the theaters. But being the type of movie that it is, I don't know if I can handle another viewing. It is that honest. It is that real. It is that gritty. And now I'm going to comment a little bit on what we hear in the news about this movie, about the protests and the extra security, and if this movie should even be shown in theaters. And I'll say this. Movies and video games, but I'm going to talk about movies now because this is a movie show. Movies do not inspire that type of violence and loss and tragedy we hear about and see in the news. This movie, while it is brutal, I don't see any direct correlation that could lead someone to go and shoot up a theater or commit atrocities. I just don't. Okay, it is not the filmmaker's responsibility to put bumpers on their movies when they're making them. Okay, it is the individual's decision to do those things. I'm not trying to get super political, but honestly, watching this movie, I was thinking, yeah, this is hard to watch, but I in no way see how this could spark someone to go and do those things. And I'm being totally honest. You can fight me on that. We can have a discussion about that, but I myself did not say anything. However, full disclosure, there were police at the theater I went to go watch this movie, and I did feel more comfortable with them being there, because I thought that if something were to happen, I would want the police to be there immediately. But I do think that a lot of the fear that people have with this movie being released has been created by there being fear in the first place, and I'll explain that statement because I know it's a little confusing. I think that the people that thought that there would be fear with this movie sparked that fear. We all thought something was going to happen, so we feared something was going to happen. I don't think there's any actual threat that this movie poses to anybody. I'm just saying that up front. And that is honestly kind of where I'm going to leave my comments on that subject. The movie in no way pushes that message. It does not say go pick up a weapon and do horrible things to another person. It doesn't. And to make that correlation is pretty thin. I really don't see any directness to violence in this movie, because this is a movie that is really in your face and is direct about mental illness. If anything, this should raise awareness to our health system, not to our gun policies and stuff like that. But I don't want to comment on that completely. However, getting back on track, this is a movie that should be seen in theaters. It is a masterpiece. It is Oscar worthy. As a comic book movie fan and as a comic book reader, you should feel very honored and special knowing that such source material, which was once laughed upon, was handled with such care and dignity that it produced such a beautiful product that we now have today. I can't get over this movie. I think it is incredible. You should see it. Joker is an absolute triumph of a movie. Send in the clowns. Okay, everyone, that is my no spoilers review of Joker. If you like this video, comment, share, like, subscribe to all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace.